The agenda for today's session is going to be how to set up your Zoho Recruit account, how to make customizations in your own account, and then adding data, that is how to manage your clients or contacts, the job openings and candidate informations and so on. And then we would go ahead and introduce or maybe explain a generic recruiter's workflow, how a recruiter can use Zoho Recruit. And then we'll go ahead and create some sample reports. That is based on the data that we have added, we'll create some reports and help you create or set up the reports module. And then we'll go into an individual question and answer session. Also, the question and answer is not limited to the end. If you have any questions at any point of the time, please use the questions icon that you see in the right side panel. So first things, what is Zoho Recruit? As you would aware, Zoho Recruit is an easy to use application tracking system, a recruitment software system where you can manage your own contacts or your candidates information, job openings, and so on. So basically, it helps staffing agencies or recruitment departments track your job openings, your candidate information, the resumes or CVs you receive, and your contacts quickly and efficiently. And also, Recruit allows you to spend, I would say, less time on the process and directly go ahead and search for which candidate would be best for you. So to repeat, Zoho Recruit is an easy-to-use application tracking system which you can use to manage your contacts, your candidates, your resumes, the job openings, and so on. So going into the individual agenda for today, how to set up your Zoho Recruit account. So once you have signed up for an account, or the organizational account, you can add multiple users into it. The main user is called the recruiter admin or a super user who can view, add, delete, extract, make customizations, etc. The other option is the recruiter access. A recruiter is one who can view the data, add the data, or edit the existing data. The difference between a recruiter admin and a recruiter is that an admin can delete, extract, or make customizations, whereas a recruiter, from a security standpoint, they cannot delete nor export the data. So as an example, if you are the main user and you do not want your users to extract or delete information, then you just give them a recruiter access, which would mean that you would be the only person who can delete or export the information to their own computer. So the data stays secure and safe so that nobody else can actually take any data out of the system. We also offer two other free options. So what do I mean by free options? There are guest and interviewer users. You can add multiple users. Let's say there are unlimited number of guest or interviewer users to the system. A guest user is one who can view all the data in Zoho Recruit. That is, once you add them to your account, they can view all the data that is there in your account. They can add notes or comments for the candidates or contacts, whichever information that they see. If they are assigned any interviews, they can give recommendation for them and reschedule the interviews that they're assigned for. Similarly, we have something called an interviewer user. An interviewer user is one who can only view the assigned records. For example, if you assign a job opening for an interviewer, then they can only view the job opening and the related information like which candidate is applied and what are the candidates, etc. And similarly, they can add notes or comments for those particular records and finally reschedule the assigned interviews. Just one second. So the last option that is there is called the disable access. If you have a particular user already in the system and you do not want them to log in again, you can restrict them from logging in. To repeat, it's more like blocking an user from logging into the system again. So switching over to Zoho Recruit. 1 second. The URL to use is recruit.zoho.com, recruit.zoho.com to log in. Once you log in using it could be a Zoho ID or the registered email ID or via the Google Apps login, you will be welcomed onto the dashboard. The dashboard is nothing but an overview screen of Zoho Recruit, which will give you the recent activities, what jobs you have, or what is exactly going on in your account. On the dashboard front, you can filter down with regards to what is happening in the last few days or months, for that matter. Example, what happened in the last 15 days. So you can just quickly filter down to check what is happening in the last 15 days. And under each of the tabs of Zoho, you will have an option to export the data. Again, the export option is enabled only for the administrator. By export, you just copy or let's say download the data to your own computer as an XLS or a CSV file. So you can also filter down with regards to a user to check which user made what changes, or you could also filter with regards to a time period. For example, what did this user do yesterday or today, etc. So similarly, there is also an option where you can view the active job openings and also the events that are there. So this will give you an overview about what is happening in the account. As I mentioned, you can always download the data to your own computer. With regards to backup, we also do a daily and weekly backup from our end on our servers so that the data is always secure. So to repeat, on the dashboard front, it will just give you an overview about what is happening in your account, what are the changes that are there, what are the jobs that are there, what are the interviews or events that are there, etc. will be there in the particular dashboard. So the main thing that we discuss is the users tab, where you add your own users that you want. So as I mentioned, you can click on add user to add a particular user into the system. There are 4 different types. As I mentioned, it could be a recruiter admin, a recruiter, a guest, or interviewer user. So recruiter admin is the main role who would have all the options that is there in Zoho Recruit. They can view, add, edit, and delete, whereas a recruiter can only view, add, and edit. A guest can view all the data, and recruiter can only view the assigned data. The next thing we'll go ahead into making customizations. So by customizations, there are a lot of options that you could customize within Zoho. So the amount of possibilities is more, that is, you can go ahead and build upon into each of the modules which itself is customizable. So I'll go into each one by one about how to customize these modules and what are there to customize. So the first thing we'll discuss is how to change or the logo, the branding of Zoho Recruit to your own companies. So under Zoho Recruit, there is a settings tab which you can use to customize. Again, the settings and customizations can be done only by an administrator user. So under settings, you will have a lot of options which you can use to customize. The first thing we'll discuss is the customized logo, which you can use to change the logo or reset it into the Zoho Recruit's default logo. So you just click on change logo, choose the file you want to change it to, that is the logo of your own company or the client, whichever that you want to update, and just click on update and the new logo would be updated. To repeat, under settings, it is customized logo to change the logo of the system. The next thing we'll discuss is including custom fields. So what is custom fields? The custom fields are nothing but the form fields that are there for individual modules that you have. It could be your candidate application form, or it could be your job opening form, or it could be in case of staffing agencies like client and client contact forms. So all these forms can have a variety of fields that you can define what exactly you require on the particular form. So under settings, it is called customize form, which you can choose what module you want to customize. Again, for the internal companies, that is corporate recruiters, it's going to be only candidates and job opening. And for staffing agencies, it will be a mix of both candidates, jobs, clients, and contacts. So let's take an example, candidate. So under my candidate application form, these are the fields. So by customizing this form, I can include the fields that I want, or I can remove the existing fields as well. For example, on my candidate form, I do not want a contact address. Then I just quickly use the pencil icon that you see. To repeat, it's under settings, customize form. You choose the module and you can mouse over to the pencil icon that you see and choose edit or delete. So in this case, I do not want the contact address, so I just simply delete this field. Okay, so if it is already used in a particular view, it cannot be deleted. So you will have to delete that particular view or the data that is associated to delete a particular field. So in this case, I have created a view to mention who are my UK candidates. So in this case, so I cannot delete this field, but rather I can go ahead and edit it in the way that I require. So I'm just going to change it to location and click on update. Or similarly, I can go into that view and delete that particular view and then come back and delete the field. Another example would be including my own new fields into the system. For example, first name, last name. I can include a new column like, for example, middle name. I can also have an option to make it mandatory so that candidates who apply should mandatorily give their first name, last name, middle name as well. I can also move around where or how exactly the form should look. To repeat, these options, all these options are customizable. You can move around what field where you want it, or you can rename how they look. As I mentioned, from location to, you can again go back to call it contact address or home address, anything that you want to give, you can update it. You can also delete existing fields as I mentioned. So just mouse over, click on delete this field and click on S and the field would be deleted. The same applies for the job opening as well. And this is not limited to changing or including fields, but also to use to customize your own workflow. So in Zoho Recruit, you have something called a resume status for candidates, which is nothing but the workflow for the candidates. So the resume status is nothing but the list of statuses a candidate would go through in your own system. So in my case, I have it from new to submitted to client approvals to finally hire or reject. So in your case, if you want to build up your own customized workflows, you can come into the edit resume status option to add your own workflows. To add a status, just click on add choice here and choose the option and click on add. To repeat, you can come into settings, customize form, choose candidates. So in this case, candidates here, scroll down, choose the resume status option. Just click on edit this option, edit this field. Click on add choice to add my own choices. What I mentioned with regards to the customizations. So what I was mentioning is you can go into settings, customize form. You can choose what module you want to customize, and then you can add new fields or edit existing fields. You can also use it to change your own workflow. So in this case, under resume status, you can just click on the pencil icon, choose the edit this field option. You can add your own choices that are required. So this is nothing but the status messages that you use for the candidates. You can click on add choice to add your own choices for the workflows. This is also similar to the job openings as well, where you just choose what module you want. And similarly, you can just simply drag and drop fields to add your own field options, the form field option into the system. Or you can rename the fields. So instead of posting title, I can call it job opening title. Click on update and it will be updated. Similarly, I can also change the status options for jobs as well by clicking on edit this field. Choose the add choice option and click on add. So this is nothing but customizing the workflow or the status messages in the way that you require. And again, these are just the status that you use for the jobs or candidates or clients and so on. So you can add or remove the options that you want. Click on remove to remove it or add to add your own choices. The next thing we'll discuss is using an email account into the system. So in some cases, we provide an option called email add-on. It's an optional add-on. If required, you can upgrade for it. So if you have upgraded for the email add-on, which is a separate $3 per user per month, you will have an option to add your own business email accounts into the system. So under Zoho Recruit, when you mouse over, there is an option called emails. So this is a separate tab which will be available if you have upgraded or received the option for the email add-on. So it's a separate optional add-on. If you have upgraded, you will have an option called emails tab where you can add your own email accounts into the system. You can use the mail accounts to add your own POP3 account. So once you have added, you can use that email account, the business email account or personal email account, to start viewing, sending and receiving emails straight out of it. That is, you can configure which email account to use within Zoho Recruit. By then, you can start viewing, sending, receiving emails from that business email account within Zoho Recruit itself. Example, you are using a Gmail account to send and receive emails. So you can configure that account, that Gmail account within the system. That way, you don't have to switch to Gmail every time to search for an email, but rather it will be available in Zoho Recruit automatically. The other advantage is that whatever emails that you sent or received from a candidate would automatically be tracked. For example, when I open up a particular candidate record and go into emails tab, whatever emails that I have sent for the candidate or whatever emails that has been received from the candidate, both would be visible. To repeat, emails that are sent out of Zoho Recruit or all incoming emails will be automatically fetched and tracked within the candidate record. The advantage is, rather than going to your Gmail account and searching for the particular email, the same email is automatically fetched and tracked within the same candidate record that you're viewing. So just to recap, the emails tab is an optional available add-on. It's called the email add-on. Once you have upgraded for it, you will have the emails tab where you can configure your own business email accounts. Once you have configured, you can start sending, receiving emails, and also you can also use it to track the emails with regards to a particular candidate or a client contact. So for example, when I go into a candidate record, click on emails tab, whatever emails I have sent for them or whatever emails the candidate has sent me will automatically be fetched in this particular tab. The next thing we'll discuss with regards to customizations is the email alerts. So you can create email alerts of your account to notify, it could be a candidate or it could be a user, it could be a client, etc. automatically based on the workflows that you've created. So for example, we have just discussed how to create your own workflows or customize your workflows. Based on these workflows, you can trigger automated emails. A regular example would be when a candidate applies to you, you can trigger an automated email to him, maybe mentioning, "Thank you for applying. We would contact you when a job opening is available." Or it could be like whenever a candidate is rejected. For example, when a candidate applies and then they could go through the process and finally they're rejected by a client. So you can trigger an email based on this status mentioning that, "Sorry, your application has been rejected for so and so reason," or just simply say, "We'll contact you." So the option is based on the workflows, you can trigger automated emails, and the place to configure is go to settings. There's an option called email alerts. So in this case, as an example, candidates. So as I mentioned, "Thank you for applying." So whenever a candidate applies to you, that is on create, you can trigger an automated email back to the candidate mentioning, "Thank you for your application," or you can type your own custom template messages that you want to send them. You can also send it as an HTML template, or it could be a text-based template. You can configure it the way that you want. You can also include your own logo or images that you want in the template as well. So this email can also be sent to a recruiter, or it could be a client contact. You can choose who the email should be received for. So in this case, I've just triggered an email to the candidate mentioning, "Thank you for applying." You can also maybe change it for something like when the status changes from some status, could be, as I mentioned, rejected. You can mention it automated email mentioning, "Sorry to inform you that your profile has been rejected, but we would contact you if there are any other suitable job openings." So as I mentioned, you can go through the own workflows. Wherever required, you can create your own automated email alerts. So that way, whenever a candidate status is changed to appropriate status, for example, rejected but hireable, so you can trigger a message saying that you've been rejected, but we would still contact you when a suitable job is popping up. Or as I mentioned, it all depends on you. Whichever way that you require, you can customize the workflows. And based on these workflows, you can create your own email alerts. The next thing with regards to customizations is the email templates. So similar to your email alerts, you can create something called email templates. So the difference between an email alert and a template is that the templates are like you just save as a draft, and you can use the same draft again and again for the similar set of actions. It could be like sending an email to a client, or it could be a candidate. Or another example would be notifying a particular candidate for scheduling an interview. So it could be that the same step is followed, but for a variety of candidates or clients. Then you can just simply create a generic email template using the merged fields or mail merge option. That way, the fields that are added would be automatically mapped or added with regards to the actual candidate or clients that are linked. So going into Zoho, just below email alerts, there's something called email templates. These are the list of actions which you can use for the email templates. So for example, as I mentioned, email to a candidate at the time of scheduling an interview. So when I go into candidates, let's say I want to schedule an email for example, interview for this candidate. So I click on schedule interview. When I choose the notify the candidate option, an automated template would come up, or I can just choose whichever template that I want. So in this case, I've just triggered an email mentioning, "Hi candidate, first name, you have been invited." So the information about date, time, interview, etc. All these details would be fetched from the actual candidate who it is associated for. So even though you are associating, maybe you're scheduling an interview for 10 candidates, then all 10 candidates would receive individual emails with their actual name. So the candidate first name would be replaced with the individual 10 candidates first name at the time of sending the email. So it's not just related to the interviews. As I mentioned, it could also be like the send email, or it could be like forwarding to clients and so on. The options are here, the settings, email templates, where these are the list of options where you can use an email template. It could be sending an email to a candidate, or email to a candidate at the time of scheduling an interview, that is notifying at the time of scheduling an interview, or notifying an interviewer at the time of scheduling the interview. Or you have an option called forward the resumes to a particular client or hiring manager. So when I choose that, whichever email template that I want, I can use it. So in this case, I'm just going to send the email information about the candidates to a particular HR manager, or it could be a hiring manager, client manager. So these are the options that are available. You can just come on add email template, choose what module you want to create. So example, it's going to be candidate's resume to a client. Just choose what template you want to create and it will automatically be appended. So at the time of performing the action, so as I mentioned, when I go into candidates tab, so the same case, I'm just going to forward it to a client. I can just quickly use this template message to send the email to the particular client contact. To repeat, at the time of performing an action, you can call these templates which would automatically send the actual email with the linked information from the merged fields. So merged fields are nothing but the mail merge option, where the form fields that you have created and the actual value would be replaced at the time of sending the email. The last thing we'll discuss with regards to customizations is the carrier's website page. So in Zoho Recruit, you will have an option to create carrier's website pages for your company account, where you can display the current job openings that you have or have an application form for candidates to fill up. So for example, I go to your website and view the job openings that you have and apply for them. So the same process can be dealt with using Zoho Recruit. That way, all applications received on your website would be automatically added into Zoho Recruit. So which can be tracked, the source information, etc. can be tracked well within Zoho Recruit. And the candidate's information would be automatically added to the candidates tab. Whichever jobs that they apply would be linked to the particular job opening record as well. You can customize this particular web page that you create within Zoho Recruit with your own requirements. For example, you can change the logo, look and feel, colors, meta keywords, etc. So you can go into settings. There's an option called Careers Website Page, which you can click, where you can create multiple pages that you want. It could be based on location or country or clients. You can create it the way that you require. Click on add page to add your own pages, or the default page is called careers, which would display the current list of job openings that you have in your company. Once you click on edit page, you can change or customize the page that you want. As I mentioned, you can change the logo, banner, look and feel, colors, what columns you want, etc. By default, the department or the client information would be hidden on the website. Likewise, you can enable or disable fields the way that you require it. So in this case, I'm just going to mention how to create it. So you just click on add page, choose what sort of a page you want. So in this case, I'm going to create a new page, click on add new section, choose what sort of a page you want. So it could be like list of published jobs, which means that it will create a page for the list of job openings that you have, or candidate form section. It means that a candidate application form or just a normal content that you want. Likewise, you can create the page that you require. So I have created two pages for me. One would be the list of job openings. So I click on open URL, and the other one would be a candidate application form. So this is my page where it just shows the list of job openings that I have, where I can click on it to view the job opening information, and I click on it. So the application would be like the candidate application form, which again we customized. Upon clicking on apply now, the candidate's information would be automatically added to the Zoho Recruits account. To show you an example, this is a client's website. who is using Zoho Recruits to display their own job openings on their website. So again, as I mentioned, you can change it the way it looks. So in this case, they've included their own logo, their colors, the information that they want to show on the website, etc. So a candidate can go view the information, click on apply now to view again the information on what exactly they need to submit, and click on apply. So the other version of it would be, I'm opening a new website here. So this is another website from a client where they have just listed basic information about jobs, functions, location, etc. Again, as I mentioned, they can view the details from Zoho Recruit, apply now. The candidate application form would open up from where they can apply, or they can directly apply, click on apply now, where the candidate application form would open up. So just to repeat, you can customize it the way that you require it. The page to create it is settings, careers website page. You can click on add page to add a new one, or click on edit page to customize it the way that you require. So when you click on edit page, you'll also have an option called a help link here. When you click on more, it'll redirect you to the help page section. So if you have any questions on the careers page, you can use this help link, or you can get back to us as well. I'm done with a basic overview about the customizations. So I'll just give it a minute to ask your pending questions on the customizations front, and then I'll go into the workflows of a recruiter. All right, we will discuss the workflow of a recruiter. That is how a Zoho Recruit can be used by a recruiter. So to discuss a workflow, so for example, the main thing would be to set up a client database, that is, or the departmental database where the jobs will be residing for. So it could be, once you set up the department or the client information, you can go ahead and add jobs related to that client or the department. You can go ahead and publish jobs to careers website page or job boards or billboard, etc. Go ahead and source candidates. That is, once you publish, you can go ahead and source the candidate information from, again, several other websites or job boards, have resume parsers or emails, Outlook plugin, etc. So by sourcing, I mean adding candidates into the database. So once the candidate information is added, you can go ahead and associate or filter candidates for the job openings that you may have. So once you have associated and qualified the candidates, you can send mass emails or SMS to gauge the information or the interest of candidates, where once the candidates are interested, you can go ahead and shortlist them. The shortlisted candidates can be forwarded to clients or client manager for approvals, and once again they are approved, they can be scheduled multiple rounds of interviews, and based on the interviews, you can choose to hire or reject candidates based on their performance. So this could be a basic overview of the workflow. So the workflow might differ, maybe the methods would differ, but I'm just covering a basic workflow of how a recruiter would use a system to hire a particular candidate. So we'll go into each of one of these options to see how Zoho Recruit would be of use. So the main thing, the adding clients or client contacts, or it could be departments. So in Zoho Recruit for staffing agencies, you could use the clients and client contacts to add them. So it could be clients to add your own client information. For example, I can click on add client to add my client information. So it could be like I can manually type the information, or if I have the information already available on an XLS or a CSV file, I can use the import client option. That is, if you want to have the client information already available on an XLS or a CSV format, you can just use the import client option to import them into the system. So once a client is added, so example Burger King here. So this is a client that I've already added. So these are the information that I've dealt with for this particular client. So where I can view the information of the client, which client it is, what is their website, who's the contact detail, manager, address, or the client contact information. The clients are the companies that you're dealing with, and client contacts are the point of contacts for those clients. So in this case, for Burger King, it's going to be Angela, James, Tobon, Durga, etc. There are a lot of client contacts. One of them can be contacted for a future job opening. So when I open a client record, I can view that this is the client, these are the jobs they have given me. So one is filled, one is currently in progress. When I scroll down, the job openings chart would come up, where The active job opening is business analyst. If I want, I can view all the job openings the particular client has given me as well. The other option to import a client is using the Zoho CRM integration. So Zoho has another module called Zoho CRM, the contact relationship management software, which you can use to manage your clients or contacts or accounts. So if you have an active Zoho CRM account, even if it is a free account, you can use it to manage the contacts there, and whatever contacts that are managed there in CRM account can be automatically synchronized into the Zoho Recruit system as well. So all you need to do is you just need to map the accounts and set a synchronization time so that all accounts or the information available on your CRM account would be automatically imported into the Zoho Recruit account as well. Once you have added a particular client information, you can go ahead and add jobs that they've given you for. For example, let's say Burger King again. If Burger King is giving me a new job requisition, I can use the add job opening option here. Just scroll down under here and then choose the add job opening to add a new job that particular client has given me. Or I can go back into job openings, click on add job opening to manually add the same information again. So I can just type which client it is going to be for Burger King, what is the information that they gave me, and just click on add, and the particular job opening would be added. The other way of adding job openings similar to the clients is using the import job opening option. To repeat, to add job openings, you can either add them manually by clicking on add job opening, or you can import them from an XLS or a CSV file by using the import job opening option. So you just choose what file it is going to be, click on import, have the columns mapped, and the data would be imported into the system. So it's something like Excel migration where the data in your Excel files can be imported into the system. Once I have added a job opening, example, let's say business analyst for Burger King. So this means that I have about 6 candidates who have applied for it. That is, once I had a job opening, I can go ahead and publish them for several job boards, or it could be my website. So as I mentioned, there is something called Careers website page, which you can use to link the particular job openings that you may have. So for that option, it's called the publish in website here. If I have chosen this means that this job opening would be or will be available on my own website as well. Also, the other option to publish is using the job board feature. That is, I can post these jobs to the other linked job boards for free. So it could be Simply Hired or Indeed sponsored job option, or in case of internal companies, they would also have an Indeed organic job option for free. Or it could be Juju, Career Builder, Glassdoor, CopCop, and now LinkedIn. That is, I can choose what job boards I want to post my jobs for. So in this case, I have in my settings option, I can choose what jobs I want to post it to which job boards. So in this case, we've just newly integrated LinkedIn as well. So for example, in this case, these are the list of job boards that we are available with. So Career Builder, CopCop, Glassdoor, Indeed, Juju, LinkedIn, the new feature, Simply Hired, and Publish in website. So these are the options that you could post the jobs for. So when I go back into job openings, I can choose which job board I want to publish it for. For example, Simply Hired, just simply select them, click on update, and it will be posted to Simply Hired within 24 to 48 hours. Click on update, click on publish, and the selected jobs on job boards will be published. It will take about 24 hours to a maximum of 48 hours to publish the jobs into the job boards. I understand that most of these job boards would be USA based, for example, except for the Simply Hired and Glassdoor and Juju. It could be like the others are USA based. LinkedIn is again, you can post it for an international website. You can also post Simply Hired for international website. So with Glassdoor. But if it is that you want to manually post it to other jobs or websites, for example, Twitter or Facebook, just choose embed link option here under more actions, embed link. You can copy this URL and post it manually to any website, example Twitter or Facebook. You just copy this URL and paste it there. All applications received through this URL would again be automatically available under Zoho Recruit. For example, you paste this to Facebook or Twitter and I view the link and then apply for it. All applications received from that link would be available under the candidate tab of Zoho Recruit as well. So it's just an option if in case you do not want to use the job board, but rather you want to manually post it to other job boards that are not linked, or it could be other websites that you want. It could be like Craigslist, or it could be like, as I mentioned, Twitter, something like that that you want, you can use it. The only downside is that you will have to paste them manually. So automatic posting would not be available at the moment for Facebook or Twitter, but we are working on it. But for the moment, you can use the embed link option to manually post these jobs to job boards. So as I mentioned, you can add these job openings manually, or you could import them into the system. You can publish these jobs to websites and job boards. So with regards to sourcing, we've just seen the first two. We'll just go ahead and see how to source candidates from the other sources. So when I go back into the job opening page, in this case, I have 6 candidates who have applied for it. So when I click on it, it will just give me an overview about who are these 6 candidates. So I can also choose they have been hired already, for what job they've been hired, etc. So in this case, I just have 2 visible candidates, Dimitris and Bradley, who are interview in progress for this particular job opening. What in case if the candidates have not applied from an online source? For example, it could be they are giving you via email, or their candidate information is available on your own hard drive, etc. So under Candidates tab, there's an option called Add Candidate. Similarly, you manually type the candidate information if you have them, or if you have the candidate information in an XLS or a CSV file, you can use the Import Candidate option. Just choose what file it is going to be, that is in this case XLS file, and have them imported. For candidates, we have another option to import candidates. It's called the resume parsing feature, where you just select one or multiple files into the system. For example, I'm just going to choose a document here, click on open. I can click on import resume. Again, I can select multiple documents as well. So when I go ahead into this document, it means that my first name, last name, my experience, contact details, that is contact address, my email ID, my mobile number, experience, job title, etc. All these details is automatically fetched from the attached document, the resume, and added here. So when I have my own custom fields that are built up, based on those fields, the actual values from the document is automatically parsed. So if you have a resume parsing feature, you can automatically import data from a document file. The supported formats are, as you could see here, just one second. The supported formats are here. It's all document format, that is, it should be based on a Word format that's text based. We do not support the imaging feature, that is, if you have a resume that is image format, then we would not be able to parse, but all Word or text based resumes and CVs would be accepted. The maximum size should be 50 MB. So for example, if you have like thousands of CVs that you want to parse, you just split them into 50 MB each, so that all those files will be imported into the system. Like an example, I want to parse 100 candidate documents that I've received by email. So you just simply zip them together, that is, compress them using a WinZip or WinRAR, and then import into the system. All 100 resumes, the individual 100 resumes, will be created automatically as 100 candidate records. So when I go back into Candidates tab, I can view that the new candidate information is here. Could see that the source is imported by parser, when was it posted on, my details, my resume, everything is automatically added here. So it just goes to say, it's just when you attach a document, all the information that a resume parser can gather from the document will be fetched or parsed and added into the Candidates tab as a candidate record. The other option for adding candidates is called the email inbox. So similar to resume parsing, we have something called email parsing. So this is available as a separate option, that is, it is provided with integration with Archly. You can go to zoho.archly.com. I repeat, zoho.archly.com. You can use your Zoho Recruits login So this is provided by Archly. You can use your Zoho Recruits login to sign up, where you can add your own email accounts. So the main intention behind this is all incoming emails to this particular email account will be automatically parsed. For example, you have an account like careers@yourcompany.com or jobs@yourcompany.com. So all incoming emails, if a candidate is sending you maybe hundreds or thousands of candidate resumes every day, then all those thousand or hundred records or attachments will be automatically parsed, just like how we did it from the computer. Everything that comes through this email inbox would be automatically parsed. It's called the resume inbox feature, which is provided by Archly. You can go to zoho.archly.com to do a trial as well. The next thing with regards to sourcing candidates is Outlook plugin. If you are running a Windows based machine and if you have an Outlook plugin, that is which you can download, from settings there is an option called Outlook plugin, Microsoft Outlook plugin, which will give you an option to download the links. It's again an optional add-on. If required, you can use it. The main advantage is that whatever emails that you receive on your email inbox, that is the Outlook inbox, these emails or attachments can be parsed and added into Zoho Recruit as well. That is, emails, or it could be from the candidates or client contacts, all those emails or candidate information can be transferred from your Outlook drive into the Zoho Recruit account as well. So as we discussed, these are the ways how a candidate can be added into the system. So we discussed how to post it to the website page or job board. We saw how to add them manually or how to import it from a spreadsheet, or the resume parsing feature. There are two other options that, as I mentioned, resume inbox feature and the Outlook plugin. So these two are optional things. There are add-ons that are separately available. If you want more information, you can drop us an email as well. Now that these candidates are automatically added into the system, we can go ahead and filter or qualify candidates based on the need that you have. For example, when I have a particular job opening, so in this case I have a business analyst. So I can check what is the actual reference or requirement for this particular job opening. So under candidates tab, I can go ahead and qualify or filter candidates. So for example, I have a job opening that requires Java, or it could be like MS Office or some requirement that you may have. So candidates who has Java or Office will automatically come up. So in this case, I have candidates who has Java or Office automatically come up, where I can just quickly search through them. So in this case, these are the list of candidates who has Java in their profile. So I see that this candidate has 10 years of experience. So I just simply select one of the candidate profile, go into select actions, use the associate to job opening option. That is, you can perform your own searches that you may want. It could be multiple searches using the Boolean value and or not, or you can do the advanced search to go through the system on individual values to search for the candidate records. From the list, you can go ahead and associate them to job openings by clicking on associate to job. Choose what department or client it is going to be for. So in this case, I'm just going to choose it to the business analyst job opening that I have. Click on associate. So when I go back into job openings, go into business analyst, you would now see that there are 7 candidates associated, and this candidate Praveen who just added is associated automatically. The status of the candidates automatically change based on the workflows that you have created. The default or the basic workflows that Zoho Recruit provides would be automatically changed. That is, for example, when you schedule an interview, it will be interview in progress. When you forward them to a client, it will be submitted to client. When you add them to a job, it will be associated, or it will be hired or rejected as well based on the actions that you perform. So in this case, we've just added a new candidate. You can also do other multiple searches. As I mentioned, it could be like, let's take an example, Java or ASP or .NET. Just click on enter. Candidates who has Java or ASP or .NET, or it could be like, you can also mention something like ASP and .NET or any requirement that you may have. It will automatically come up, from which you can just simply select the candidates, go to select actions, associate to job opening, choose which client it is going to be for and what job opening it is going to be for, and click on associate. So it's just that you can run your own searches, go ahead into the candidate profile, view their information, what information it is going to be for, schedule them interviews, and so on. So when I go back into job openings, let's take an example, business analyst for Burger King. Now I see that there are 7 candidates associated, out of which there is only 3 who are eligible, out of which there are 2 already interview in progress. So in this case, I have a new candidate, Praveen, who I would just go ahead and forward it to my client or the hiring manager for approval. So I'm just going to click on forward to client. Forward to client is nothing but forwarding the candidate's information to a client or a manager for approval. So it could be for reference as well. You just choose which client contact you want to send it for. Choose a template. As I mentioned, you can always use a template to schedule your emails or send your emails. Just click on send and the email would be sent. When you go back into the candidate's profile, you could view that the status automatically changed from associated to submitted to client now, which means that it's just working based on the workflows that you have created. Once the candidate's profile has been approved by the client, you can go ahead into select actions, choose this change status option. From submitted to client could be maybe approved by client, click on update. So again, it could be like once it has been approved, you can go ahead and schedule interviews as we discussed. It could also be like you want to send mass emails, then you just use the send email option. You can either select bulk candidates, for example, in this case, I just select multiple candidates here and use select actions, send email, or under candidates tab, we have an option called mass email. The difference is mass email is used when you have maybe like hundreds of candidates you want to send. Rather than selecting them one by one, you can just send a mass email based on a view that you have created. For example, I want to send candidates who has Java or PowerPoint. So there are totally 45 candidates. So rather than selecting one by one, you just choose a template that you want to send. Click on send mass email and the email will be sent automatically to all these candidate informations. Similarly, you can also send mass emails and SMS to candidates based on your requirements. So in this case, for business analyst, for Burger King, we had one candidate who was interested and we have just been trying to interview him. So in this case, we've just approved by the client. So the next step would be to schedule interviews. So you just select schedule interview, choose a date. Now the interviewer. So in this case, it's going to be like Burger King is the client. So the interviewer, maybe the initial round can be with you or your own company. The second level maybe with the client as well. So whichever users you may have can be part of the interview panel, or it could be someone from the client contact as well. So in this case, I can either choose it to be myself or someone from the client contact. I'm just going to schedule the first level of interview. As I mentioned, we also have an option to notify the interviewer or the candidate, which will just trigger an automated email to them. Clicking on schedule will schedule the interview, and if the associated emails will be automatically sent to them. Now, when you go back, let's take an example. When you go into interviews tab, you could see that this pending interview is available here. As an interviewer, you can log in and do it, or a recruiter or an admin can come back and give the recommendation. The recommendation is nothing but a feedback about how the interview went. So in this case, once the client contact Angela has given a recommendation on how the interview went, you can just give the update here. So if in case this candidate is okay, let's click on can hire, click on OK. So under candidates tab, when you click on this candidate, you could see that the interview in progress status is updated, and the status means that recommended for hire, which means that it is okay for that particular job opening. I can also navigate from the candidates tab to the job openings that they're applied for, and similarly from the candidates record from the job opening as well. So under the same candidate, 7 candidates associated, I can select the candidate again. I can again send them emails or SMS or schedule multiple rounds of interviews again. So I'm just going to choose schedule interview again. Choose the interviewer could be someone else from the client contacts in, and it could be a second level interview. I click on schedule. So it's nothing but scheduling multiple rounds of interviews for a particular candidate. The recommendation or the feedback can be received from the client contacts, or if you are the interviewer or someone from your team, they can also log into the system and give their own recommendation. So when I go into Praveen's profile, you could view the information of what interviews they have been associated for, what job information, etc. So I just click on my name, the same interview thing, and I can give my recommendation from here. Can hire or can reject. Can hire, click on OK. Now when I go back to candidates page, the same information is available here. Similarly, when I go back into the interviews tab, the interviews that is available pending would be here. You can click on view all interviews, view the second level and first level interviews as well. So when I go back into job openings now, click on 7 candidates associated again, could view that this candidate has gone through the second level interview with the other client contact is also okay. Once the client or the company is okay with hiring him, you can choose to hire or reject the candidate based on the performance they've given you. To repeat, you can schedule multiple rounds of interviews. Based on the feedback received, you can choose to hire or reject them or unassociate them and then associate them for several other job openings as well. So I'll just choose on as hire. I'll have an option to lock the candidate by default, which means that the same candidate, even though they may be associated for 2 other job openings, they would be locked so that the interview process would stop for the particular job opening. Example, I have applied for 2 jobs. First job, I'm okay. Second job, the interview is over and I get an offer for the second job. Then the first job handled by a different recruiter need not contact me again. So even though it may be having similar set of job opening requirements or skill sets, so once they are hired, they will be locked so that the other recruiter need not contact them again for the similar job opening. So when I go back into the candidate's profile, you could see that the candidate is hired and locked. So this candidate is working as this so-and-so experience, etc. He has been hired for Burger King as a business analyst. So all the information that has been passed through for the particular candidate will automatically be available here and he'll be locked so that you need not be contacting him again. So we discussed how to categorize candidates, how to send mass emails, how to send individual emails, how to forward clients' profiles for approval to the client contact or the hiring manager, and choose multiple rounds of interviews, and finally choosing to hire or reject candidates based on the performance they've given you. Once they are hired, you will have an option to either convert them to an employee, or it could be like you can convert them to be a client contact. So the difference is, if at all you're hiring a candidate for your own company, you can choose the more actions, convert to employee, which will give you an option to give them employee ID and then give them an option to log into Zoho Recruit as well. You can obviously give them disable access so that they will not log in, but if required, you can also give them option to provide them as an interviewer option so that they need not log in and view the same information that they're already available for. Example, it could be like they are a recruiter, then you can give them recruiter access so that they'll log in and work on other job openings as well. Or it could be like you can just give them interviewer access so that they'll just view only records they are associated for. Or if they are not in your own company but they are going to work for the client, you can just go into the profile, use the more actions, convert to client contact. So what is a client contact? As I mentioned, any contact that you have with regards to a client, the company, you can use them. It's just an option where you can convert a candidate to be a client contact and similarly a client contact to be a candidate as well. It's just an option we provide where if at all if required, you can convert candidates who are hired successfully for a client to be client contacts so that for all future job openings, you can directly contact the client contact itself, the new client contact that you already have a rapport with. And also under client contacts tab, when you open a particular client contact, let's take an example, David Scott here, more actions, you'll have an option called convert to candidate. Just means you'll have an option to convert or switch between client contacts and candidates. So it could be like a client has a particular job opening with another client. So you can just simply convert them to a candidate. They'll be available to you as a candidate. Right, we'll go ahead into creating reports now. So based on the data that we have accumulated in the various tabs, we can go ahead into creating reports. That is, you could create several types of reports that you want. The data that we added in the jobs, candidates, interviews, clients, contacts, users, etc. All these information would be available as a reporting format. The format could be like, it could be chart view, pivot view, tabular view, summary view, or dashboard. Or you can create your own data that you already have in an Excel format to be imported into the system. So when you go back into Zoho Recruit, there will be a reports tab that is available. This reports tab, the full functionality of reports would be available only to the first admin user of the account. To repeat, the full functionality of the reports tab would be available to the first admin user of the account. If you are the other user, you can choose to hire, or in this case it could be share the users with regards to the reports. That is, the first admin user can share the reports for you. If you do not have access, just let us know, we'll guide you on how to share these reports as well. For basic the other recruiters, it will be available like the old report where you cannot create any reports. The new version of reports would be available to the first admin user, and he can share it to one more user as well. We have integrated with Zoho reports module, where all these data that you added will be synchronized into the Zoho reports database. So the data, as I mentioned, would be available as part of the tabular format, or in this case the tabular value formats. Example candidates, it will be available as a raw data format. You can create your reports to get the actual data that you want. We give you pre-bundled reports. Example, hired candidate versus candidate source, where are the candidates applying from, or interview by sources, etc. So there are a lot of pre-bundled reports we provide. So in this case, I just have 3 clients here. So it will just give you a count of who is the client, etc. Under each report, once you have created, you will have an option to share with a new user, or you can export them or email them. So under export this view, you can export them to several formats like CSV or Excel, PDF, etc. Or export them, email them via the same option as well. So under basic option, you can export them to your own computer. That way, there is whichever format that you want, you just create a report and you can have them downloaded to your own computer for future reference. To create a report, just click on new report. Choose a view you want to create. For example, I want to create based on chart view or the pivot, just for the accumulation of data, etc. Choose the module you want to create a report on. That is, what sort of a report you want to create. So for example, I want to create a report based on candidates and also jobs. Just choose the associated candidates versus jobs. So example, I'm going to create a report on job opening, candidate status. Just click on generate and the report will be generated. Or it could be like, I want to view the candidates who are associated. Just choose the candidate information. Oops, I'm sorry. Just select which of the tables that you want to create, and then you can just directly create reports based on the columns that are available for you. So in this case, I'm just the only recruiter, so whatever jobs that I've added will be available here. If you have any specific requirement on creating a report, as I mentioned, you can always reply back to us. We'll guide you on how to create reports. So there are a lot of reports that I have created for my account, but also, as I mentioned, there are a lot of pre-bundled reports as well which you could use. Example, I have created reports based on the summary of job openings and number of candidates who have applied for it. So for example, for Burger King, I had restaurant general manager, where one is hired and then there is no other candidate who has been associated or hired. But for the other job opening, business analyst, I have 3 that are hired, 2 interview in progress, 1 offer made but not accepted, etc. So I can build my own reports based on the data that I have actually added in the system. I can click on edit design to include my own columns that I want. For example, in this case, I just want to have something like added by. Just click on generate and it will be added. So based on this, you can add whichever information or column that you want to create in the report, you can do it. And as I mentioned, you can click on export, choose a view, and then export it to your own computer if required. So this is another example where I created a report based on which client it is going to be, who's the recruiter, who's the candidate, when was it hired, etc. So I just click on edit design to give you an overview. So it was based on a client platform where I included client name, the first name of the recruiter, job opening information, and I just applied a filter on candidates who are hired. In this case, I just want to, for example, I want to view only hired candidates. Just click on this. If I want to view other information, for example, candidates who are associated and interview in progress, just simply click on generate and it will also be generated. So this report, as I mentioned, gives me an overview about who's the client, what are the jobs, which are the clients that are hired, when were they hired. Just to give you a recap, this reports module will be available. The full version would be available to the first admin user. The data gets synchronized from the actual Zoho Recruit database into the Zoho Reports database once in 24 hours. You can set the synchronization time by clicking on Settings, Report Settings, choose the everyday synchronization time. In my case, it's going to be 8:30 a.m. Los Angeles time. If you want to set it to your own time zone and own timing, you can do that as well. So this time zone is automatically specified with the actual time zone your account has. So under reports, you can always choose to export the data to your own computer wherever required. If you have a paid version of Zoho Reports, you will also have an option to export the data via email. That is, you can schedule emails with the reports that you have. For example, I want to create a report every week with the actual live data, something like that. So if you are under the paid plan, you will have an option to export it via email, or you will have the option directly to export it with regards to the format that you want. I've covered a basic overview about how Zoho Recruit works. I'm available if you have any questions. Thank you.